Hello, my name is Kendra Fawcett and I am the Specialty Director of the Nurse-Midwifery program here at Vanderbilt School of Nursing. Today we're going to talk about the curriculum of the Nurse-Midwifery specialty. My objectives for this presentation are that you understand that nurse midwives work nights, weekends, and holidays. I want you to know that the Vanderbilt Nurse-Midwifery and Nurse-Midwifery FNP programs are accelerated, they're condensed, they're intense, and they're rigorous. I want you to be able to find the programs of study for the different entry and exit points on our website. And I want you to be able to understand the Nurse-Midwifery NM FNP dual specialty programs of study. And know that Vanderbilt places the nurse-midwifery students at clinical sites all over the United States. And how to create a strong application. I'd invite you to go to the American College of Nurse Midwives website to understand more about the depth of the nurse-midwifery scope of practice. We see clients through the whole range of the lifespan, including primary care, gynecologic care, antepartum, interpartum, postpartum, and newborn care. So it's not just catching babies, although that is really, really fulfilling. It is an on-call life, and it involves nights, weekends, and holidays. On the VUSN website, this is our homepage. You're going to click on that, and I want you to be able to navigate to our programs and specialties up here at the top. You're going to click that for a drop-down box and go to Find Your Specialty. From this page, you're going to scroll down, 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 and find Nurse Midwifery. Click on that, and this is super important. These plans of study are down at the bottom. So you'll need to click on those, whichever one you're thinking about, and explore that plan of study. It's going to give you the terms, how many terms that program is, what you will be taking each term, and the course titles and the credit hours. So it's super important that you understand that. I, today, am going to be speaking about the Nurse Midwifery program, just our specialty. So let's speak the same language. A block is what we call an intensive here at Vanderbilt. So it's an experience with classes all day for a week or a month. With the nurse midwifery specialty, you'll have an orientation block. That's 1 week in that first spring. You'll have a midwifery skills block that is 4 full weeks in that second fall. You will have a professional roles block or intensive that's virtual that first week of spring 2. And then you'll all come back to Nashville for that comprehensive block that's 1 week at the very last week of the program in spring 2. ICCs, if you hear people talking about that, are the integrated core courses, and they're part of the AACN Essentials. The AACN guides the curriculum of nursing, and so Vanderbilt is ahead of the curve that we've already integrated those courses, those new essentials, into our program. Those will be 8,000 number courses, and DNP courses are also 8,000 number. And the credits will count towards a DNP, even if you're not getting a DNP. That will be 13 credit hours of those ICCs. The core nurse midwifery specialty courses is what I'm going to focus on in this brief webinar. Those are the courses that all the nurse midwives take together, and those are 6,000 number courses. Here's what your terms are going to look like. It's going to be 4 or 5 terms for the specialty. The reason I say 4 or 5 is if you've chosen to do the Masters of Nursing program and you enter in the fall, then it's only 4 terms, and their program of study is a little heavier to include some classes they need that first fall. But regardless of what classes you're taking that first fall, and regardless of your program of study, we all get together, yay confetti, on spring 1 for nurse midwifery fundamentals. So for spring 1, summer, fall 2, and spring 2, you're all together doing those nurse midwifery core courses. It's 57 credits, and it's over 1,500 hours. Here's a snapshot you might want to take a screenshot of. Again, going through each term. Fall 1 is virtual. Spring 1, you'll need to move to Nashville. Classes are at VUSN. We have that orientation block. Summer 1, you're still living in Nashville with classes in person at VUSN on Mondays, and then clinical placement sites within 4 to 5 hours of Nashville. Fall 2, you're going to live in Nashville through about mid-September through that midwifery skills block, and then you're all going to go all over the United States for your interpartum, postpartum, and newborn clinical rotations. And then spring 2, you're all over the United States. We have virtual, synchronous, and some asynchronous classes. That's to be determined based on the term. And then you'll all come back here again for that last week of the program on campus for your comprehensive block. So we all wind up ending together depending on your route, and I know that this is a lot of information. The routes are, if you're not yet an RN, you can explore our Masters of Nursing program. I invite you to explore that on our website and call admissions and speak specifically to people who can tell you the ins and outs of the Masters of Nursing program. If you're already an RN, have a VUSN entry, you're going to come on in straight to our Nurse-Midwifery program. If you have a master's degree in nursing in something else, or you're already an APRN and you want to get a Nurse-Midwifery additional certificate, that's a post-master certificate. We call you all PMCs. You all are going to join us in our Nurse-Midwifery program. And if you're interested in the DMP, that's a concurrent option. Let me give you another slide here. This is more detail. I know it's really busy, but it gives you the credit hours that you're looking at there. So if you are exploring the Masters of Nursing, that's 64 credit hours in that MN program, and then essentially you'll be a PMC adding on the Nurse Midwifery specialty for 40 hours. If you're a dual, 40 credit hours. If you're a dual, it'll be 53 credit hours. For our BSN entries, it's 57 credit hours. For duals, it's 70 credits. Postmaster certificate is going to be 40 credits, but it depends on your gap analysis, and if you have any classes from other institutions that you're wanting us to see if that counts as credit, it may be less. And then if you're wanting to do a DMP, it's going to be a lot of credits, and you can see those there and explore those plans of study on the website. But with the DMP, the curriculum is designed, if you know you want to do that, and you're going to start that route from the beginning, the DMP content is front-loaded for a year, and then you merge into our accelerated nurse midwifery program with the other folks so that you end up graduating when you're finished with the nurse midwifery program. And that is on purpose because you are going to be learning skills and a lot of hand skills on catching babies and attending births. And we want those to be really recent to when you last graduated. So for future employers, you can tell them that your skills are up to date and current. Okay, if you're a little bit confused about the pathways, don't worry. Just click on the website and you can contact admissions or myself for more information. But let's focus on the nurse midwifery specialty. Fall 1, everybody can be doing their own classes. This is just an example of the BSN to MSN full-time curriculum plan there. Spring 1, you're finally in the nurse midwifery specialty and you get to take those nurse midwifery fundamental courses. It's right here at the gorgeous VUSN in Nashville, so you're going to move here and have classes on campus, usually Tuesdays and Thursdays, but some things are also Monday, Wednesday, and Friday, so just plan on it being all day, every day. There are no clinical courses that first spring. It's all didactic and lab. Here are those core courses. So no matter your entry point, you're going to be taking those core 5 nurse midwifery fundamental courses that term. When you do the math here at the bottom of the slide, it's a lot. This is going to be like a full-time job for you all. So I want to set that expectation that when you are applying to an accelerated program, you realize that it is condensed in a short amount of time, and it is going to be way over 40 hours a week of learning and studying. Then we're going to move into that summer 1, and these are the classes you're going to take: primary care, antepartum, and your first practicum, yay, clinical, antepartum, GYN, and primary care. Your summer schedule is going to look a little something like this, with classes loaded 1 day a week here at Vanderbilt School of Nursing, and then the rest of the week you're driving to your clinical site and learning those skills. Fall 2, Here are your core courses, that skills for nurse midwifery block, that's 1 month, intensive lab all day, every day. Then you're gonna have your practicum, you finally get to catch babies, interpartum, postpartum, neonatal. Then you're gonna be taking didactic interpartum and postpartum and neonatal care. Here's a sample of your fall schedule. That busyness up at the top is the end of that skills intensive block. And then you can see once we get to about week 5 of the term, you're off doing your clinical rotation with synchronous virtual classes on Thursday, and then more catching babies possibly on the weekends. Spring 2 courses are going to be your professional roles course and midwifery integration. So that's a 5-hour clinical course where you're really just living the life of a midwife. So here's what that looks like in a stepwise fashion. At the end of all these terms, you are going to be eligible to sit for the AMCB board exam. And then, once you pass that exam, you'll become a certified nurse midwife. You'll earn that credential. So finally, creating a strong application. I'm really looking for, and the admissions committee is looking for, a professional CV. Please make sure that if you have a purpose statement, you haven't just copied it from a different job you applied for. No pictures. It needs to be black and white. I know there are lots of pretty templates out there. And clearly give dates and descriptions of jobs and experiences that you've had so that we're not hunting to try to figure out what you've done. In your essays, I really want you to speak to specific career goals, speak to your understanding of the role of being a nurse midwife, but more importantly, specifically answer the prompt. We are going to be using a rubric to score those essays, so think if you were scoring your essay, what would you score it on? How would you score it? We really want to see that you specifically answer the question and that you're showcasing your lived experiences in your essays. You all bring a variety of experiences, and we want to see the richness of those experiences. I hope this has been informative. If you have any questions, please contact admissions or myself for further information. Thanks so much.